Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into something really critical and honestly pretty fascinating. We're looking at the future of web applications in 2025. It's bright, maybe a little bit chaotic if you're in tech, business, education, well, anywhere really. This stuff is shaping your next few years. And our mission today is not just, listing off trends. We want to cut through all that noise. We're aiming to pull out the really crucial insights, the key drivers, the actual benefits, backed by data, mind you. And yeah, also those tricky challenges that web apps are still facing. The goal is for you to walk away with a clear map of where the web is going so you can make smarter moves.
Okay, before we get into the speeds and feeds, let's just nail down the basic idea for everyone listening. A web application. It's not like something you download from an app store, right? It's fundamentally interactive, and it works on pretty much any device because it lives right inside your web browser. Think about the tools you probably use every day. Google Docs, Netflix, Trello maybe, Salesforce. These are all web apps. They're like portals you access through Chrome, Firefox, whatever browser you use on any machine. They're generally fast, they adapt, and here's the kind of magic part. They update themselves in the background. You don't have to click update or restart anything. It just happens. That smooth, frictionless experience, that's really the core power of a web app.
And that power means they're basically taking over. The big picture for 2025 seems pretty clear. Web apps are becoming dominant.
Yeah, one number that really caught my eye in the source is over 40% of WordPress sites. And WordPress is still, the king of the web for content. Well, over 40% of them are actively shifting towards these more interactive, faster web app kind of experiences. That's a huge shift happening right now. Exactly. It's not just about what people prefer anymore. It's driven by, well, efficiency. So our goal today isn't just to talk about what these trends are like AI or PWAs, we'll get to those. It's really digging into the why. Why is this explosion happening? And we're using current analysis, even academic evidence, to justify the buzz.
Okay, let's dive into that engine room then. The sources describe the 2025 development scene as a, quote, whirlwind of innovation. Seems like there are four big forces really pushing things forward. Let's start with the elephant in the room. AI integration.
Right. Artificial intelligence is, well, it's becoming the main engine, not just a feature. We're past the point where AI is just a gimmick. It's now like an essential co-pilot for developers. Think about AI coding assistants. GitHub Copilot is the famous one, but there are others. These tools are boosting coding speeds by, get this, 55%.
55%. Wow. That kind of speed up isn't just faster products, right? It must have bigger implications.
Oh, absolutely. The really important thing here isn't just that big companies launch faster. It's that the barrier to entry, it basically gets cut in half for, say, solo entrepreneurs, small teams, even maybe internal projects in big companies. It means one developer can potentially do the work of two or three, which leads to smarter apps, apps that are hyper-personalized, maybe anticipating what you need, and these can be built and launched by almost anyone from anywhere.
Okay, so if AI is the engine speeding things up, then progressive web apps, PWAs, are maybe like the vehicle itself. We're seeing this term PWA 2.0 pop up now. What's that about?
PWA 2.0. That's basically the point where the difference between using an app in your browser and using a native app you downloaded, that line almost disappears. These newer PWAs, they have proper native support for things like push notifications.
So they can actually alert you, just like a regular app.
Exactly. And crucially, really solid offline-first functionality, meaning if you lose your internet connection, you can often keep working, and it syncs up later when you're back online. That old frustration, needing a desktop app for serious work, it's really starting to evaporate.
Okay, moving on to pure performance. How are web apps handling really demanding tasks now? The sources point to two key things. First, WebAssembly, or WASM, is finally hitting the mainstream.
Yeah, WASM is a huge deal. It's a game changer because it lets developers run complex code in the browser at speeds that are almost like native installed software. That just wasn't really possible before. So instead of just text and pictures, WASM is why you can now do things like edit high-res video, or play complex, graphically rich games, or even use sophisticated CAD software right there in a browser tab. No massive downloads, no special clients needed. It brings serious power into the browser.
And the second piece of that speed puzzle is edge computing. This is about where the servers are, right? Why should, the average user care where the server is?
We care because it directly impacts our experience. It's the difference between something feeling instant and, well, laggy and frustrating. Edge computing is basically the idea of putting servers physically closer to you, the user, out at the edge of the network. This drastically reduces latency, the delay. which is absolutely vital for anything real-time.
Like video calls or online shopping.
Exactly. Live video, complex e-commerce checkouts, collaborative design tools where you see changes instantly. If you click buy and wait even half a second for something to happen, that might be a sign of poor edge integration. It makes a real difference.
Got it. And this all seems to feed into another big trend, the democratization of development. We're seeing frameworks like Svelte, Next.js becoming really popular, focusing on low-code, even no-code approaches.
Yeah, this is fundamentally changing who gets to be a web developer. It's not just for people with deep computer science backgrounds anymore. The tools are getting intuitive enough that people who are experts in other fields, like a business analyst, a marketer, maybe a logistics manager, they can start to sketch out, prototype, and even build actual working apps.
So the people who know the problem best can start building the solution.
Precisely. It just broadens the scope for innovation massively. But this does raise an interesting point, maybe a tension. If AI is writing, say, 55% of the code, and marketers are using drag-and-drop tools, how does that square with the concerns about quality and reliability that we know exist? We should probably touch on that later.
Yeah, that's a really good point. A potential downside to all this speed and ease. Okay, so we know the tech is moving incredibly fast, the ecosystem's expanding, but the big question for you listening is, does it actually work? Is it really moving the needle for users, for businesses? Let's shift gears from the trends to the actual measurable impact. Why should you invest your time or money here?
We really need to look at the evidence, the hard data. And some compelling stuff comes from academia. Web apps aren't just, convenient. They're actually being proven more effective in key areas. Education is a big one.
Right, I saw that too. There's concrete data from education, isn't there?
There is. A specific study mentioned in Cello, which is a well-respected academic database, showed that using interactive web tools in teaching significantly boosted student performance. And they didn't just say it improved, they used proper stats, Wilcoxon tests, finding a result that was highly statistically significant.
Okay, so it's not just anecdotal.
Not at all. The actual outcome they measured. A really remarkable 58% improvement in student understanding comparing tests before and after using these web tools.
Wow, 58%. That's the kind of number that changes how schools operate.
It really is. And beyond just test scores, web apps tackle a huge issue in learning access. They help reduce educational gaps because they offer pretty much universal access. If a student has any kind of device with a browser, they can get into the learning environment. Doesn't matter where they live, what operating system they use, whether they have fancy hardware. It really helps level the playing field.
Okay, that's compelling for education. All right. Let's pivot to business and productivity. Efficiency is everything there. The sources seem to suggest that combining that AI personalization we talked about with the flexible PWA format, it's really optimizing how businesses work.
Yeah, the key number here comes from an Open Systemist study. They found that personalized interactive web apps led to a really significant jump in user engagement, somewhere between 30 and 40% improvement.
30 to 40%.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the kind of metric that gets attention in boardrooms.
Exactly. If you're trying to justify moving away from, say, old clunky desktop software to a modern web app, that's your number. That's the business case right there. And if you zoom out a bit strategically, sources citing Silo Bolivia analysis show a clear link. Adopting these more modern Web 3.0 style digital skills, which means interactive collaborative apps, it correlates positively with a company's overall innovation. So web apps aren't just better tools for existing tasks, they seem to actually drive new ideas and internal change.
What really strikes me here is that web apps represent efficiency made real. They're clearly changing daily life, changing how businesses run. And it's not just fuzzy benefits. It's measurable stuff.
Yeah.
That 58% learning jump, the 30-40% engagement boost, that's tangible value. Okay, so we know it works, we know it drives results, but like we hinted earlier, the future isn't just smooth sailing. It's also described as slightly chaotic.
Okay.
This is not all sunshine and super fast WASM apps.
Yeah.
Let's tackle the villains, the big hurdles that developers and businesses need to watch out for.
Right. The number one issue, the top challenge that keeps coming up. Security and privacy. This is where the very nature of modern web development being distributed, using third-party code, AI assistance creates new weak points. The data shows 51% of developers see cyber threats as a major worry, and 41% are specifically concerned about protecting sensitive data in these complex new systems.
Okay, if security is the top worry, the response needs to be serious. The sources mention something called zero trust architecture right away. For someone listening, what does zero trust actually mean in practice?
It's Basically a fundamental shift in thinking. It means you stop automatically trusting anything trying to access your network or data, even if it seems like it's already inside. It's a very strict, never trust, always verify approach. Every single user, every device, every connection attempt has to be authenticated and authorized constantly. No assumptions.
So constant vigilance, essentially.
Exactly. And in this world of PWAs, edge computing, where users and data are everywhere, you absolutely have to build in zero trust and use things like AI for continuous security audits right from the very beginning of a project. You can't just try and bolt security on at the end. It won't work.
That makes sense. But then there's the code itself. If AI is writing half of it, how do we trust it? This brings up that skepticism we saw in the numbers.
It really does. It brings up a huge question about code reliability. We love that 55% speed increase, right? But at the same time, 45% of developers are genuinely doubtful about how robust or secure that AI-generated code really is. They worry about subtle bugs, potential security holes that maybe a machine just wouldn't catch like a human might.
So if AI takes over more of the writing, the crucial human role shifts even more towards quality control, towards rigorous testing.
Absolutely, 100%. The main defense, the superpower against potentially shaky machine-generated code, is really strong end-to-end testing and also robust CI/CD pipelines. Right, continuous integration and continuous delivery. Basically, it means automating the testing and deployment process. Every time a developer makes even a small change, it's automatically tested. If it passes all the tests, it can be automatically pushed out live. That level of automation and constant testing is critical, especially for those complex modular PWAs we were talking about.
Okay, another challenge mentioned is scalability in integration, especially around edge computing. You said edge gives low latency, but if it's integrated badly,
Then you've just created new problems.
Yeah.
That's the flip side. Poorly implemented edge systems can actually cause worse latency issues or intermittent problems, which are incredibly frustrating for users. Think about a video call that keeps freezing or that checkout button that works sometimes but not others. That kind of thing drives people away fast. So managing that complexity, making sure all those distributed edge servers work together seamlessly, that takes serious technical skill.
And finally, there's the human element. This one feels very real. Frameworks are changing so fast. Svelte, Next.js today, something else tomorrow. The sources say it causes whiplash, especially for newer developers.
Oh, it's definitely true. I think anyone in web development feels this. You feel like you're constantly chasing the next new thing, the latest syntax. It can be exhausting.
That constant churn.
Yeah, that's the whiplash. But there's a useful counterpoint in the sources, too. While the tools on the front end change all the time, the core fundamental knowledge, things like back-end architecture, database principles, how networks actually scale, that stuff remains the essential foundation. It's the stable knowledge that matters more than knowing the hottest framework of the month.
Okay, this has been a really valuable dive into both the tech and the implications. So quick recap. Web apps in 2025, they're looking like powerful bridges to a world that's more connected, more efficient, definitely faster, driven by simplicity, accessibility for everyone, and this incredible new scalability.
And for you, the listener, the key takeaway is using the knowledge we discussed, especially those hard numbers, that 30–40% engagement lift, the 58% learning boost. Use that data. Use it to make the case for investing in a new web app, maybe greenlight a PWA prototype, or push for better security practices like zero trust in your organization. Don't let the complexity be a barrier. Let the data guide your next steps.
The source material leaves us with this image. If we use these insights well, the future could be like a tech playground where crazy ideas become viral realities. So here's a final thought to chew on. With AI speeding up code generation so much and low-code tools making development more accessible, what's the single most crucial piece of fundamental back-end knowledge that human developers really need to hold on to and master to stay relevant and valuable in the years ahead? What's the core skill that machines won't easily replace? Think about that as you apply these ideas. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.